Now in the previous lecture we had this text, enter new high score. Excuse me. So this is going to be a view, a more complicated view. So let's create a new SwiftUI view, and I'm going to call it enter new high score view. So SwiftUI view, next, enter new high score view. Okay, great. So first of all, I want a score. Next, I want a binding. A binding to the name of the player. And I also want a binding to is presented. We called it something else in the parent view. I also want access to our high score view model. So high score VM of type high score view model. Now this will crash if we don't inject the high score view model into the preview. So high score view model, and we're missing arguments. So let's do Control Option Command F. Okay, so the score, let's just have 1, 2, 3 for instance. This binding I'll do constant, and the name will be just empty string. And is presented, let's say true. And that's constant because it's a binding. Oh, and is presented is a boolean, not a string. Yeah, I actually accidentally used string. Okay, great. Now let's embed this text in a ZStack. And actually I just noticed that the enter new high score view was not in the addition game, so I'm moving that over there. Now I'd like a background, and I'm going to use the colors .blue and .purple with an opacity of 1. And next, let's embed this text in a VStack. And let's just write new high score. And let's make sure this is font.large title .foreground color .white. And I also recommend that try something else. Let's add font weight semi-bold, and I don't think we really need padding, but I'll put padding there. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Okay, great. And under that, I'm gonna just duplicate this code. Under that, let's actually have the score. So / parentheses score, so I'm using string interpolation. Maybe I'll drop the boldface, the semi-boldface. So we have 123. And next I want a text field. Text field. So let's do enter name, and the text will be $name. And now let's just make this look a lot better. So I'm going to use font.large title, font weight semi-bold, and I want us to be centered, so multi-line text alignment is center. And I noticed while working on this that the auto correction is actually quite annoying. So let's do autocorrection disabled. Now notice what happened just now. I started doing disable autocorrection. But luckily Xcode told us that this will be deprecated and we should use autocorrection.disabled. So I do not want autocorrection, because then it's just annoying. You type your name or whatever you choose and it starts autocorrecting the name. And we don't always want autocorrection. Now for the background, before that, let's add some padding. And now for the background, let's add color.white. And I want a corner radius of 10. And let's add some padding. Okay, and that looks pretty nice. Finally, I want a button. So let's create a button. Action, label. So let's start with the label because that's just a little bit easier. So text, save, font dot title, foreground color dot white. Let's add some padding. Background color will be color dot green, and let's use a corner radius of 10. Okay, great. So we have our button, but it doesn't really do anything. So let's do something. So first of all, let's change the name to the following. So if name is empty, then I decided that I want it to be anon, as in shorthand for anonymous. And if we don't like that, or if you don't like that, then of course, do something else. That's fine. Maybe I shouldn't do anon here. Maybe I should do it when I actually add the high score in the view model. But I just decided that we won't have empty names in high score. So if the player doesn't enter a name, they're known as anonymous. Okay, great. Now let's go to the high score view model and add a new high score. Now we need to enter a name. So we have a name and we need to enter a score. But notice the score is int64. So Xcode is going to get really upset over this. But Xcode will also try to help us out. So I'm waiting for Xcode to help me out. Otherwise, I'll just help myself. And is presented as false. So let's wait for the, okay, exactly. Cannot convert int to int64, replace score with typecasting. So we're converting this into an int64. And that's it. We have our view. Now, okay, we can test it. We can, use this in addition game view. But there is one thing that I'd like us to check. So I'd like to change our scheme to say French. See, the question is, did I put new high score, enter name with exclamation mark, enter name and save in the localization files? So that's a good question. Maybe I missed something, and that does happen. So we always have to check that, our localizations cover everything, and it does not. Notice that save was converted into this word, but enter name and new high score were not addressed, right? So if I go down to the localizable folder, so wait, what I'll do is the following. I'll close this, and let's split the screen. Yeah, okay, great. So we need to translate a few things. So first of all, new high score is missing, right? From all of the files, unfortunately. Okay? Maybe I'll put a space here just so we notice that this is something missing. Also, enter name. Now, just to make life easier, maybe we'll just use name, right? Instead of enter name, I'm just being lazy. Because name is already covered here. Okay? It would be better to do enter name. But I'm just putting name. And what about anan? So maybe anan should also be translated. See, that just complicates things. Maybe just leave it as an empty string in the code. But I don't like that. I think anan should be translated, and then, I'm not exactly sure how to translate that into different languages. So this is something that we need to address if we want our app to, be valid in Arabic, French, Hebrew, etc. Right? So I'm going to grab this. And for now, in Arabic, I'm just going to copy this. French, copy this over here. Hebrew, and so on, Italian. And I'll have to add that text later. Now, maybe it would be wise to continue to work on the app. We don't really have much left to do. And make sure that we didn't miss anything else. And then do these missing translations. So if we go back to French, so maybe instead of new high score, I should do translate new high score. And over here, to do anan. Okay? For instance, maybe I should have done that everywhere. So if we go back to enter new high score, and I display the preview with Option Command Enter. Then we have a bunch of bugs. And why did that happen? Because I forgot the semicolon. I almost always forget to add a semicolon on one of the lines. This is really frustrating. And the bug is really confusing. Validation failed, could not parse property list, blah, blah, blah. So I missed the semicolon in all of these. Okay, so let's just add the semicolon. Okay, now I think we should be good. So I'm going to go back to enter new high score view. Okay, so at some point we should take care of those missing translations. I thought I had everything at the beginning of the app and I missed something. Here, so name is translated to nam or non or whatever. Right, I just used name, which we do have covered. So the only thing left is translate new high score and also anan, as in anonymous. Okay, great. So before we leave, I actually want to use enter new high score in the adding game view. And I do want to close all these views. I have way too many views open. Okay, wonderful. So let's see, what do we need to change? This text. Enter new high score. Oops. Let's do that again. So we have to enter a score, a name, and something for is presented. So for the score, no, my mistake. I need the game model. I need the game view model score. Okay, that's a score. For the name, the binding, so we needed a $sign. Dollar is presented, and we also need a $sign name, and now I need $sign high score view is presented. Okay, great. So let's play the game. So I'm gonna play very poorly, and the score was 0, so that didn't really help. Now let's play much better. So I'm playing very well. Currently my score is 11. And now let's make a few mistakes. I have one more life left, and now I'm going to make a mistake. And let's see what happens. I have a score of 14, and when I press this, it will be deducted to a 12, right? We're subtracting by 2 for every mistake. And indeed, the score is 12. We're in French, so this appears in French. So if I try to go to just the regular adding game, it might just restart. But anyways, it works, right? It pops up. We still have to take care of the localization and also actually, update the high score. Okay, so I think this is a good time to take a break. Have an amazing day and see you next time.